everyone. First of all, I would like to extend my thanks to Wayne, Donna, and the folks at ACTLA for reaching out to me to be part of this virtual panel today. I value each opportunity that I'm given to connect with my colleagues from across Canada. I want to express my gratitude, first of all, for two things. First of all, to those of you in Alberta who supported me when I was injured in 2015, I want to tell you how meaningful that was to me, and it still is, and how those acts of kindness have actually motivated me to reach out and support my colleagues in law now. Second, I'm grateful that you've all made the time to be here today at this program, that you're taking time to be present and to connect with your colleagues. By doing so, you're recognizing the importance of developing resilience and understanding that being resilient in the face of uncertainty and trauma is essential to withstand the stress, the pressures, and burdens we all carry. I'm also going to do a little personal shout out to my best friend, Deanna, who's a lawyer in Alberta, and I think she's joined us today, and a happy belated birthday to Rick. So just a little personal note from me. I'm going to use the time I have today to share with you my thoughts about resilience and how I, like everyone, when this pandemic has took over our lives, had something happen to me that was out of my control, that took me away from my practice. And what I learned in that time that I was away from my work, although what happened to me that took me away from practice is different than what's taking us away right now, I do see many similarities. Here we are, minding our own business, court schedules full, client meetings booked weeks in advance, professional obligations, personal time, vacation, everything planned. And then in a moment, everything changes and you can't do anything about it. It can feel humbling. It can feel frustrating. For trial lawyers, the sense of not being in control can feel unacceptable. There's something about our personalities that draws us to this kind of work. And we like rules, we like order, we like to be in control. And then in a moment that's gone, and it can feel very destabilizing. That's what it felt like for me when I was injured 5 years ago. It feels different for me this time around because of the work that I've done to develop my resilience and my ability to be more flexible and less rigid. I'm less thrown off now by what's happened, I think, because of the work I've done. I'm speaking to you today from my office. This is actually the place, the space where I was injured on July 3rd, 2015. Just over there is where I was holding the voice recorder in my hand when I inadvertently detonated it. It broke the window that you see over my shoulder. So as you can see, I'm here, I'm back in this space, and I have asked myself, like, why not move to another office? Why not change firms? Why not bail law altogether and find something else to do? And in fact, you should probably know that it's one of the questions I get asked the most by other lawyers, like, why would you come back to this? Meaning the practice of law. Like, lawyers have suggested to me that I've had an out, that I had a way to receive like an honorable discharge from this profession. And that's troubled me, and it still does. What it says to me is that there's many of us who are not enjoying what we're doing most of the time, that we're feeling trapped or at least resigned to the fact that this is what we got. Yesterday on a video conference coffee get together with other women lawyers in Winnipeg, I was struck again by the experiences shared by my colleagues as they reflected on what it's felt like to be away from practice. And the range was really broad. I heard everything from those who felt like it was a blessing in disguise, that they realized that they were on autopilot and then hadn't even noticed, and this was a wake-up call. And then there were those who were describing feelings of being distressed and disoriented and anxious about the future and unsettled by a realization that, oh my God, without my professional obligations and full agenda, who am I really? What matters to me? How do I fill this time? Why am I binging vacuous programming on Netflix? I've got this gift of time that I never had before, yet I'm feeling shaken and unsettled. What am I without my career and the demands that it creates for me? So hearing that took me back to the time that I was away from practice. In that year and a half when I was recovering physically from my injuries, I spent just as much time to pay attention to my mental health. The hardest thing for me when I was injured, and it seems strange to admit, but it's true, the 2 weeks or so after I returned home from the hospital, my thoughts kept going back to my practice, to my clients, those people that I was convinced needed me. Worries and anxieties about how my colleagues were handling my practice and managing my special clients. Here I was home, bandaged, wounded, burned, and my thoughts were not on me and my family, but they were on my practice. And what I understand now is that what I experienced had less to do with this dedication I had to my clients and my professional obligations, but it had more to do with my ego. I recognized that I had tendencies around perfectionism, and this discovery was very eye-opening for me. Being away from practice abruptly is like being thrown from a treadmill. If you can land on your feet, catch your breath, you've got this really unique opportunity to look at this treadmill and see how fast that belt is spinning. It's actually quite amazing that you don't notice the speed of it when you're on the treadmill. It's not until you step back and you look that you see, you're like, wow, like that's pretty intense. As you stand there looking at your treadmill, think about how you can safely get back on it. More importantly, next time you need to exit, think about how you can safely exit, because you may not be able to land on your feet. I was able to land on my feet when I was injured because I'd already, in the year before my traumatic experience, paid attention to self-care and factored in, for me at the time, because of other things that were going on in my life, counseling. That was a start to a foundation for me. Since then, I've added things that I used to imagine were self-indulgent and even selfish, like reading a book for pleasure. Things that I now understand are vital because it means putting myself first before my clients, before my professional and community commitments. Because to put yourself first requires that you're able to articulate and identify what in your life brings you joy, what matters to you, what are the values you believe in and what you want to live by. And to do this, you need space to tackle those questions. And how do you do it? I think it's about seeing the space that already does exist for us, despite the pressures and commitments, in particular those that are unique to lawyers. It may not seem like there's space, but there is. You need to use the space to be alone, to tackle those uncertainties and anxieties from your own life that inevitably surface when we stop putting everyone else's agenda before your own. It will be uncomfortable, but accept that, because those questions, like what's important to me? Why am I doing this? they need to be answered honestly. And the answer, if the answer is I don't know, that's okay. You're being honest with yourself. But what's not okay is living for your clients, for your law firm, your other commitments, and not giving the same amount of attention to yourself. When I was thrown off the treadmill, and believe me, I've been tossed off many times since then, and COVID is the most recent, I found myself disoriented and trying to understand what was happening. The space that I was in was huge, and I understood reluctantly that I had used the culture of hard work that we reward in the legal profession, and my dedication to my work as an excuse not to wrestle through tough questions about my place on this earth in that short time I do have. Embrace the space that you've been given and go further and create more space. See this time and this space that you've been offered as an opportunity to do an audit. Accept that well-being is composed of physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual elements, and that those components will feature themselves in different proportions depending on who you are and what's important to you. It's from a foundation of well-being that your ability to develop resilience and flexibility, that's where that comes from. When you've created a strong base and sense of self, you'll then have confidence and trust in yourself. I tell people that I'm not special. I was not born tougher or more resilient than anyone else. Resilience is a skill that needs to be practiced the way that we develop and practice other skills in law. I have to say, though, I am proud of the work I have done to develop my resilience, because it's hard work, and I trust myself to be able to recover or rebound the next time I'm being tossed from the treadmill. It's not easy to make time to work out, to read, to walk, to analyze your vulnerabilities, to look in that mirror. It's easier to be reactive than to be proactive. But then you have far less control and far fewer choices. The lesson we can take from COVID-19 is that we can't control everything. Be okay with that. In fact, we're very vulnerable. So accept that. Be uncomfortable, be vulnerable, be kind to yourself, and give yourself the attention that you would give your best client. Give yourself the deference and the respect that you would give to the court. Doing this provides stability, foundation, a sense of integrity. If you take care of yourself, if you're fit and focused, you can then take care of others. It starts with you. Use the opportunity, the space that COVID-19 has given to examine where you are at this moment. See where that takes you. See what you can do with this space. The most amazing thing you'll discover is that you can create those spaces at any time. Even when things go back to or go to a new normal, and you're back on your treadmill, even when the speed picks up, you know that you can create space at any moment to breathe and recalibrate. Even when a life-changing or a traumatic event comes, and it will, or a tough work commitment like a multi-week trial is on your plate, know that you can create the space. It's a powerful tool. It grounds you and it keeps you accountable to yourself. And I'm nearing the end of my allotted time. So I do again want to thank the ACTLA for this opportunity today and for letting me be the opening act for Lorraine and Justice Hollins and Romana. It's quite hilarious that I'm overcommitted and I have to get to another matter. So much for creating my space. But I've had the good fortune of having heard these incredible women speak on issues of well-being before, and they have powerful messages which I know will resonate for many of you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for letting me be able to share with you and be here today. Thank you.